time to look at the research polls self-publishing wanted me to look at. Do you know the 9 steps to successfully publish your book on Amazon? 61% say I have no idea. So this is actually the first part of 2 when it comes to writing versus the publishing video. Why don't I just make a video? All right, woohoo, yeah! We've written our book, team writing, awesome, woo! Now we get to go to the next part, which is the publishing process. And this is where I get to be a little bit of a stickler. And I get to tell you, hey, anyone can write a book. I'm sorry if that hurt. Anyone can write a bunch of content, but there's a lot of people that write a lot of content but never take the next step to publish it. There are some people that journal every night or have a diary, and they have written incredible things, but they're not a published author, right? Now, a lot of reasons what we put in our diary or journal is we don't want other people to hear, but if you are writing something that you feel is important for the general public to hear, then we've got to take this step into publishing. And the reason I think that it only had 2% vote in this poll of what part do you struggle with the most is because people don't want to think of that. Because it just seems maniacal and mechanical and boring. But the people that put a book out there learn this process and do it well. So that's what we're going to talk about next is the publishing process. Now, this is the process of order with a little bit of chaos. And I'm going to tell you right now, the little bit of chaos is simple. Not all of this will go according to plan. You will have hiccups. You will have some deadlines that aren't met. You might have some people that are difficult to deal with. You'll have challenges with Amazon. And that's okay because it's part of the process. And chaos makes it all worth it. Now, let's get into the order part of the book publishing and production process. I'm going to give you a twofer here. Now, before we get to the publishing process, it's important to know that there's a step that comes before that, and that is the book production process. Producing your book, making it look pretty so it's ready to be published, right? Now, when you think book production, you should think of 3 main pillars: editing, cover design, and formatting. And we're going to break down each of these for you. First up is editing, right? Remember, you have lived in chaos. You've put utter creation and your words on paper. The first thing you're going to want to do before you pass this off to a professional or someone that is slightly professional is you're going to want to give it a look over yourself. You're going to want to see the places that you may have run on and did a tangent, and you're going to want to give yourself a self-edit. This does not have to be a very rigorous process by you and self-critical process, but you want to do light editing to make that editor's job a little bit easier. The other thing I'd recommend before you go into the editing process is reach out to an editor about a month or 2 before you feel you're ready to be done writing. And if you're sticking to a schedule, you'll know when that is. So reach out to an editor about a month or 2 beforehand. Because guess what? These editors are business owners and they're running businesses and they have other clients. They have other things come up. They might not have time for you as soon as you reach out to them. So reach out a little bit in advance and set up a date for when you would like them to start. Now, where do you find a good editor? If you're working right now with Self-Publishing School, they have a Rolodex of editors that they can put you in touch with, but you can also go to sites like Fiverr or Upwork to find a really good editor. Now, you're going to want to look for an editor that can do 2 things or 2 separate editors. You'll want an editor for copy, which is the line by line, making sure that you have all the grammar and punctuation errors fixed. Some of you might be really good and philosophical in your mind, but don't speak no good when you put things on paper. That's okay. A copy editor will make you sound a little bit more eloquent, and they will also check for those grammar and punctuation errors. The second type of editor you're going to want to look for is content editors. And these are the people that talk about the flow of what you're writing. Hey, does it make sense to start talking about this first and then talk about this? Or should you switch things up? A content editor might say, hey, I'm reading this and you kind of lost me here. Can we talk about this instead to help bridge that gap? But a content editor is helping you with the overall flow of your writing. So make sure you're looking for both. Now, if you're writing a book and you feel really comfortable with the way you structure a book, you might just look for a copy editor. If you feel really good, if you have a background of being an English teacher and you know that your grammar is going to be on point, or on period, then you might just look for a content editor. But those are the two types of editors that you're going to look for. That's editing. After editing, you're going to want to make sure you have a really good cover. Now, some people think that you can just put a book up on Amazon and choose a generic cover for Amazon to create and print for you. And while they would be right, those books rarely get picked among readers. Why? Because that's not really Amazon's job. They're like, yeah, we'll put this up for you. But you want to make sure you have a book that's going to pop for your readers, especially your specific reader. If you're writing a how-to book or a scientific book, you're reaching a different audience than if you're writing an inspirational or a motivational book or a memoir. So you want to have a feel to your book cover that reaches your specific audience, right? So there's ways that you can do this. The two places that you can go that are a little bit on the cheaper side would be 100 covers or 99 designs. And what they'll do is they'll ask you a bunch of questions. They'll ask you which categories you want to rank in, which I'll talk about here in a second. They'll ask you, you'll give them your book description. You'll give them the idea and the feel and who you're trying to reach. And they'll give you a couple of options for what they would do for a book cover, right? So they might give you 2 or 3. I'd recommend take that to your following, see what they like, and then pick one from there. I used 100 covers for my book, The Happiness Gap. I was reaching a younger demographic. So this is the book that we came up with that seemed to land. It helped me get an initial 50 reviews and hit bestseller status. So 100 covers and 99 designs. You can also venture off and start looking in certain Facebook groups, art Facebook groups, and find a good graphic artist that can do work for you. For our Tales of Bestunia books, we found a graphic artist through a Facebook group that lives out in San Francisco. He does an incredible job. He does American style animation and we loved it. However, we paid a little bit more for it. But for us, it was worth it. It's why we've been able to generate $15,000 of income in the first 5 months, is because people see that first when they want to purchase the book. So that's the second thing you'll want to do, is a book cover as well. Those are places that you can go. I would not recommend just doing the generic book cover on Amazon, but not everyone listens to me. Welcome to my life. And then the third thing you're going to want to do is format your book. You can do this yourself if you would like. There is book templates that you can use. I've done a video on that. Let's see if we can maybe link it or drop it below. You can also use software like Vellum to help you with this process. Or if you like, for me, what I did is just hired a formatter that you can also find on websites such as Fiverr or Upworks. It's typically a couple of $100 for them to format your book properly and make it look professional. That's the book production process. Now comes the book publishing process. And I'm going to tell you right now, this isn't that sexy, but it's needed for you if you're looking to get traction with your book. Now, if you just want your book out there on Amazon and hopefully people find it, totally disregard this section and figure it out on your own. But if you want to make sure you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's, this is going to be a more ordered section. So before we get into the order, there's a little bit of chaos for you. But now the order of getting your book published on Amazon, which is right now the #1 book distributor in the world. So really familiarizing yourself with Amazon is important. And that's step 1 of this process. There's a very good blog by selfpublishing.com that I'll also link in the description below or in the comments, so you'll be able to digest this in written form if you like. But I'm going to go through some of the steps you'll need to take to understand the publishing process on Amazon. Before I go into those steps, what I would want to tell you is give yourself a week or 2 to go through this process. That way, you've given yourself a parameter. You're not getting stressed after a day or 2 and being like, I'm not gaining the momentum that I want to gain, or it's not done yet. Give yourself some time and build it into your schedule. That being said, let's go into each step of the publishing process. Step number 1, I've already told you, familiarize yourself with Amazon and KDP. What does KDP stand for, Dylan? It stands for Kindle Direct Publishing. Everyone knows the app. It's now right into Amazon. Kindle Direct Publishing is what Amazon uses to publish their books. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is creating a KDP account, a Kindle Direct Publishing account. To do so, you can go to kdp.amazon.com to create your account. And if you already have an Amazon account, you can just use that account for your KDP account. It's pretty simple. cut and dry. Third thing you're going to want to do once you have a KDP account and you're ready to put a book on there is you're going to want to make sure you have a really good title and subtitle that you can add to your profile. What we always tell people with nonfiction books is the title should grab your attention. The subtitle should tell you pretty much exactly what that book is about. Chandler likes to say an 8-year-old should be able to tell you what this book is about. Because when people don't know you, they need to know what they're going to get from you and from your book. Fourth thing you're going to want to do is get a really good book description in there. Now, there's kind of a rule of thumb for fiction and for nonfiction books. For a fiction book, you want to give your readers the energy or the spirit of what they're diving into, right? Really ask yourself, if you're about to purchase a book, you want to be lost in this book. And that starts with the book description. A well-written book description and a well-written first page are Rami's keys to a really good fiction book to bring people into your world when they don't know you. Now, if you're writing a nonfiction book, what Chandler Bolt would want to tell you is that description has got to let your reader know how they will benefit from that book once they put it down. What challenges will it solve? What features of the book and what benefits will the reader have from the book and the contents within it? So make sure you have a really good book description for your fiction or nonfiction book. Steps 5 and 6 can take time, and I would really recommend a software called Publisher Rocket to do this. And though steps 5 and 6 are going to be getting good keywords and getting good subcategories for your book and making sure you're strategic with them, making sure you're giving yourself some form of competitive advantage using your subcategories and keywords. What do you mean by that, Dylan? Another great question is if you are writing an inspirational, motivational self-help book, while that is great, picking the subcategory of self-help motivation does not set you up for success. Why? Because you're competing with a lot more people. And when people don't know you, it's harder to find you in that subcategory. Other people have already monopolized it, right? So you want to start asking yourself, well, who is it that I want to motivate? Who is it that I want to inspire? And start to look for subcategories that are a little bit more niche so we can start to allow ourselves to gain traction in our name and with our book. So that's very important. The same thing goes for keywords. Keywords is, what am I going to be typing in Amazon to find your book? Again, motivational has a lot of competition, makes it very difficult for you. So you're going to want to make sure you ask yourself, what would people be searching for on Amazon to find your book? Those are steps 5 and 6. Again, I'd recommend Publisher Rocket to help you find the best keywords and subcategories for you. 7th thing you're going to want to do is select a publishing date for your book. And when you do this, give yourself some time, and then it allows you to have a date in mind of what you're going to be aiming for when it comes to releasing your book. So if people do start searching on Amazon to find your book, they'll know when they can come back and pick it up. And it also gives you a date to tell your launch team to make sure they know when to come and pick up your book. Step 8 is you'll want to upload your manuscript and book cover. And if you did a good job earlier finding a good formatter and a book cover designer, they've already done this for you. They've given you the file that you need to just simply upload your book. And this saves a lot of time and that hassle, that unneeded hassle for this step, number 8. And then finally, step number 9, make sure you've done your research on the pricing structure you want to have for your book. Typically, you want your book to start off a little bit cheaper to give people an incentive and a reason to buy it early, and you want to gradually increase the price because that allows you more royalties, so you can earn money from your book. Give yourself time to look that up. If you'd like some help finding prices, you could always go to KDP Select or Book Lending to learn more there. Feel free to check it out. Selfpublishing.com also has blogs that you can check out as well that we will make sure and tag in the comments below. That's everything book publishing. It was a lot of order. Realize that there will be chaotic times, and that's okay. Breathe through it and give yourself space and time to learn what you need to learn so you can publish your book the correct way. That's everything. You've now learned about team writing, that's mostly chaos with a little bit of order, and you've learned team publishing, which is a lot of order and giving yourself room for the chaotic times. Now, if some of you are watching this and you're saying, hey, what about marketing and selling? I have done another video on this called Book Launch or Book Launch Team. We'll reference it below. Make sure to check it out. But the biggest thing that I'd be telling you is we have two dualities of writing And publishing, book marketing, and selling, book launching is really happening at every step of the journey. Watch my other video to learn more so you can learn how to properly launch, market, and sell your book. That's it for me. I hope you learned a lot. What was the biggest eye-opening experience for you? Throw it in the comments. What do you like about my room behind me? Throw it in the comments. What do you not like about me and my personality? Throw it in the comments. But I'll tell you one thing I definitely want from you. Click like, click subscribe, and tell people about this channel so we can help more people get their authentic message out to the world. Until next time.